Good morning, everybody. Good to see you here. New faces, other faces that I know. I wouldn't dare say that, no. Good morning, my name is Vicki Iozia. I am proud to be the first president of the League of Women Voters of Citrus County, and you're in for a treat today. Now, some things are complicated, but there are some people that can make them understandable. And that's what we have today. I'm going to ask you to please turn off your cell phones and turn off your Apple Watches if you have them, because I found out the hard way. Everybody chuckles over it, but you must do your cell phone. And then my watch rang during the meeting. This meeting is being recorded, and it will be available. I'm going to put it on YouTube. How many of you get the newsletter? Oh, watch this. How many of you read the newsletter? Oh my God. Don't pinch me, please. How many of you want to get the newsletter? All right. If you're not getting it, make sure when you sign up that you print very clearly so that we'll be able to get your email address, because it's so unforgiving. One little letter off and you'll never hear from us. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we'll have a moment of silence. Thank you. How many of you enjoyed our meeting last month? Trick question.
How about our meeting at the Capitol?
Yeah, we didn't have a meeting last month. It's 2 months ago. Should have said something, Todd. You take a month off, you know, when you go on vacation and you don't know what's going on. Last night I said, oh my God, I need to do these reminders. I need to do the agenda. So I did them. We give these at every meeting and it tells you what's coming up. Our next meeting will have Judge Patricia Thomas, and she is going to talk about due process. Our December meeting, this is going to be great. I'm so excited. We are not only going to have one speaker, but two. Sheriff David Vincent and Superintendent of Schools Scott Hebert. That's going to be at Glory Days on December 10th. You will, sometime in the near future, find the information on ordering your meal, and that's going to be really great. Now, Nora, you said cattle dog?
Yeah, we met the last week of last month at Cattle Dog.
Yes, we go to Cattle Dog Restaurant in Inverness, and we just hang out.
And it's
People-
a fun meeting, not a pizza. It's a really fun meeting.
I will pay you later. We go to hang out. We don't talk politics or anything. We just get to know each other. And I'm really enjoying them, getting to know people. Now let me do my pitch here. We are looking for people in the following areas. You know you belong to organizations, and there's one small group of people that does everything. Eventually, that group gets old or dies. And we don't want our organization to get too old and die. So I'm looking for somebody to be our voter services chair. Now, our speaker today goes all over the county and does outreach. We have not been doing voter registration, and the only way you should know, Mo, that I sleep at night is knowing that you're doing it. But I would like to have even if it's limited, somebody, and I will talk to you exactly about what's involved to have a voter services chair. A lot of other leagues have them and we don't have one. Looking for a historian. Before you leave today, there's a scrapbook in the back of the room. It has information from all the meetings that we have. I'm looking for somebody to take that on.
I'll do it.
All right. All right, that job is taken. Don't fight, please. Maura Cloud, thank you. We're looking for a tech person. Ha, 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 ha. You know, I try this out at home every time, and once I get here, we need to get Hannah to help us. I'm not sure exactly what that is. We also need somebody who's going to work with publicity. If you have the slightest bit of interest doing this, please grab me before the end of the meeting. I'll be glad to talk to you about it. I'll be glad to help you through. Now, for the good part of the meeting here. Our guest today is our Supervisor of Elections, Mo Baird. There are supervisors, yeah, go ahead. There are supervisors of election in every county in Florida. And when I get to go around to other counties, I brag about our supervisor of elections because they are not all equal. Somebody came up to me and said, well, I'm so glad you have a good supervisor of elections. Ours stinks. It's good for the League of Women Voters to have a good relationship with the supervisor of elections, and we work on that. And I think we should have you here once a year, Mo. How does that sound?
I usually come once a year.
Yes.
Where have you been?
I've been. No, I'm trying to get you to commit to further years.
I will.
Where have I been? I don't know. Been a lot of places. Mo was elected as supervisor of elections in August 20th and re-elected August of 2024. She's got a lot of experience here. She started working for the supervisor of elections full-time in 1985. The in-depth knowledge she gained working across all aspects of election has proven to be essential in keeping your vote safe and secure. I can tell you, and I'm not the only member here that has gone to her and said, I need this information. I have no idea where to find it. And I'm on the phone with her and she just goes click, 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 click. And I hang up the phone and there it appears. I don't know how you do it, but it's great. And I know you don't just do it for League of Women Voters people. She was elected to the FSE Executive Board in 2023, and she can't clone herself, so she's mentoring other supervisors of election. I was so happy to hear that. During the election season, she has 400 plus workers are hired and trained for part-time positions. I will shut up so that you can hear our guest, Mo Baird.
As always, it is a pleasure to be here. And just set this down. If I was at my office, I wouldn't allow any water by my electronics. Thank you. Thank you for having me. First and foremost, thank you for having me here today. Just so you know, I've already had a staff meeting today. I've already met with all my IT staff, and we have done a day's work before the day ever started. We are missed election. I have a week before we go set up early vote sites. We've contacted all our precincts. We've already trained all of our election workers for this September 30th election. If you don't know, that is an election, a special election called for the Senate race, Senate District 11. Please, I know this is a Republican primary, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, but this is a very important race in our county because it covers not only our county, but this represents our entire county. And sometimes they're split and they're not split, but ours, we have the entire county. And so whoever gets voted in November will be our new senator. So right now, we have a Republican primary. Only Republicans can vote in the primary election. And then whoever wins that election will go to the general election on December the 9th against the Democrat that's running. Okay, so there'll be one Republican and one Democrat in the general election, but everybody can vote. Okay, so I just want to put that out there. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And I am really enjoying my position on the FSE, Florida Supervisor of Elections Executive Board. We get to do and have so much say in things that are happening in Florida. Right now, as you know, the biggest thing we're trying to work through is the legislation that was passed in 2025 here for initiative petitions. It has been some of the toughest legislation that we have to put into play because of all the moving components. And so we're working on that. We're ready for October 1. We're setting on about 2,500 initiative petitions that need to be checked. And of course, they stopped having the whole state check petitions between October 1 and between July and October 1, so that we could catch up on our software and all the components we need to process those initiative petitions. And so that's where we are right now. We're running an election. We just got all new voting equipment. Last year we did all the servers and all of those kind of heavy lifting things. This year we did all of our tabulators. You know, when you go to the precinct or early vote site to vote and you put your ballot through the tabulator, we had DS200s. Now we have DS300s. We just replaced, and I can count 45 years that I know of, that we had our secrecy booths. You put them together, they have the legs on them, and you go in when you go to vote earlier or election day. And so we just replaced them. And so we got 45 years out of the other ones. And then, and so I was waiting to get some metal booths to replace them because I don't want to replace them again for another 45 years. So, we have half of those in. We're expecting our other half of delivery, but you'll see them at the polling locations for these special elections as well. So, all right, let me run through my presentation a little bit of who we are and what we do. Does this come out so I can move? Okay, because I have to see the screen as to see what you see. Okay, please know that the Supervisor of Elections Office, we're the process. We are not a political entity, okay? We serve the people and the voters of Citrus County. And we are here to serve all the citizens of Citrus County. We have our mission statement is the mission of the Elections Office is to serve Citrus County with integrity and the highest standard of excellence by instilling trust and confidence in the accuracy, efficiency, and security of elections. Security is my high point. Audits and tabulation are my specialty. Those are things that just come to the top of my list as your Supervisor of Elections, because I know with the knowledge I've had from my years of experience that everything's running exactly how it should be. And so it's very important when we get new equipment in that we test it thoroughly. Everything has to be thoroughly tested. All this has been done. And then, of course, we were waiting for them to call this special election because we had a good idea that they were going to do that. So I wanted to go over a few statistics with you. In 2024, we had 119,606 registered voters in Citrus County. And right now, I have 115,490. My favorite thing is to register voters. And then my next favorite thing is to take them off if they're not voting, move them to an inactive status. Because the last thing we want is folks who are not voting on our system. It costs taxpayers money, okay, if I keep people on the system that are not voting. And so, because we have to order ballots, equipment, polling locations, early vote sites. So this is like a two-edged sword. I put them on, I can't wait to get them all on, and then at the end of the year, we take them off. List maintenance process happens every day in our office. We get lists from all kinds of different entities, and we'll walk through that in just a minute. We voted 98,995 voters in the last presidential election. That was 82.77%. My guess was we were going to do 82.5%. So we were really close. We voted almost 47,000 people early. That was amazing, amazing. It takes the pressure off of election day. To me, personally, Election day is your last opportunity to vote. Nobody does anything in one day anymore, okay? People have lives, electronics, all these things that go on in their lives. People can't just wait till election day. A lot of my voters are elderly, okay? And if something comes up and they wait till election day, then they don't get that opportunity to vote. And so we had 20,611 registered voters who did not vote in the general election of 2024. So I told you, it's my thing. I love to put voters on. I wanted to go find those 20,000 voters, okay? Okay? And so that was what the first thing I did. Okay, Citrus County had the 18th highest turnout of the 67 counties in Florida. Election night, the unofficial results were printed at 7:38 p.m. I'm sorry, you just can't, you can't get better than that. A lot of counties are not doing modem, or not a lot, some are not doing modem results, but you don't get results quickly. And if one of the precincts, if it doesn't work, then you have to drive it in and it takes longer. Can that happen? At any single moment. We have 10,000 tasks to do for an election, and everything has to go absolutely perfect. So earlier when you had a moment of silence, I just need to tell you that I have a prayer, okay, that everything will work together. And I believe that. I believe that as long as we do our job, dot every I, cross every T, and I have to sit back. I have 400 poll workers out there. I have 32 polling places, 5 early vote sites, and I have 10 staff members. So, you know, we're always, we have to make sure everything's done, because when a fire happens, we have to put it out. How do they happen? All elections are held in hurricane season. Okay, and that right there puts you in an emergency status when elections come. I have one day, one moment to get it right. We wait on every voter in Citrus County within that 2 weeks of elections, and a good portion of them just on election day. So that's very important that we have everything completed and everything done. And my staff will tell you, I am a task manager. I will be asking every day if this task is done, if that's done, have we checked it, have we rechecked it? And especially with the knowledge I have behind me, I've seen before when new supervisors come in, oh, what are you doing? And, well, I said, well, have you checked on this or that? Oh, you know, and so it's been very helpful to be able to guide other supervisors in a way that they're able to, you know, get more information. And the most information I get is by sitting and listening to other supervisors. The knowledge that supervisor of elections possess, it is grand, but it helps all the staff, it helps all the supervisor of elections, and of course it helps the voters of Citrus County. Okay, so in the 2024 elections, we had 27,000 people, voters who voted by mail. We had over 46,000 voters who voted early. We had 25,000 voters who voted on election day. The demographics of that are 18,841 were Democrats, 50,331 were Republicans, and 21,000 were nonpartisans. I'm giving you this because then you know you can lay your job out and see what your job is for the next year. What do we do? I want to talk a little bit about the daily list maintenance. Vicki, how long do I have? And would you time me? Okay. The elections office, we complete a daily list maintenance on the voter file. Every day, every moment that we have voter files coming into our office, we are doing list maintenance on it. We ensure address changes are done, that the deceased people are removed, that the felons are removed, that the voters who are adjudicated mentally incapacitated are removed, and all the voters who have moved out of the county, that they have been removed from the active voter rolls. Some of the departments that help us is the Florida Division of Elections, the Department of Highway Safety, the Citrus County Clerk's Office. We get lists from them weekly. USPS gives us information. We have the other election officials in other states, and of course voters' families. They will contact us if they have somebody in their family has deceased and was a registered voter. So in January 2025, we pulled the final confirmation cards we mailed them, and there's 9,042 voters who had not voted in the past cycle. So my whole thing now is to find those people that didn't vote, and if they really didn't want to vote, to take them off the rolls. After 30 days, I removed 8174 of the voters who were inactive. Okay, in February, I have done 3 list maintenance so far in 2025. Started right there in 24 and went right into 25. And from here on out, we'll probably be pretty set for doing countywide list maintenance projects, because we've done 3 so far. In February, we compared the national change of address with the voter registration files for the people who had address updates to voters. And we check every record. If they have an address update that's newer than ours, then we take it. If it's older than ours, we don't take it, because sometimes their file records are 6 months old. And, you know, we do the best we can with what we're given. After 30 days, we removed 506 voters. And then on August 1st, we processed another NCOA file, and we inactivated 646 voters. So to date, at the end of an election in December, one of the last days in December, when a voter becomes inactive, they're able to vote for the next 2 years. So they have 2 years before they can become inactive. Then another 2 years, they'll stay in the inactive status. But after that, I have to move them to an ineligible status. So that would mean they'd have to re-register again. So a total voters that we removed were 13,867 out of that 20,611. Okay, so we're moving right just now. Mind you, I'm out in the community every day or every week, and every day we're having voters come in and going to the Driver's License Bureau and updating their registration. So those numbers I gave you were at 119,000. We're down to 115. That's very normal. That is very normal, and that's how elections works. So let's take a look at the elections in 26 and 28. We're studying the statistics closely for 26, evaluating the election type. Okay, 26 is a governor election, and a new governor will be elected. Okay, because that governor has served his time in Florida. So that is going to make it a busier election. When you have an open seat like that, it makes it much busier. In 22 general election, we voted 62.19% of the registered voters. Okay, I think in 2026 they'll be higher. You have to compare to a like election. So in 26 we'll have a governor election, and that's what it'll be. That's what it was in 2022. Your presidential elections will put out about another 20% higher than a governor year. But I think this governor year will bring a lot to the table. In 24, in the presidential election, we talked about it, we did 82.77%. And so the increase was a little over 20%, it was 20.58%. So how do we prepare for these major presidential cycles? In 2022, preparing for the 24 general presidential election, I opened a 5th early vote site. I just need you to know for these next 2 elections, I will not have, is it showing up on the screen? Okay. In 2022, I opened up the early vote site, and I've used it from 22 to 24, and it proved to be very well, because I ended up with 5,000 voters who went to the new site. How did I get there? I go to the census. After the census, it shows how many people and where the increase is in our county. So our increase was in the Beverly Hills, Lecanto area is where the growth was. And then you'll know the county commission districts change after a census. County commission and school board districts align together, and they align after the census happens. Redistricting happens after that. After the census is done, and then the state comes through and they reapportion all the districts, and then our county commission and school board look at their districts and they realign. And then we do all the precinct changing, and if they add Senate districts or congressional or House districts, that's when we would do that. So right now, you know, on the table out there is that they're trying to do another redistricting soon. Okay, we're out of our cycle. We have never done redistricting outside of our cycle. And so we're looking to see if that's something that we're going to have to do. Because my budget's already in for the year. And when we redistrict, it costs a lot of money because you're moving voters, you're closing precincts, you're opening precincts, you're opening early vote sites, and none of that is in my current budget that should be approved by the end of September and beginning October 1, and it would come out of that budget. So I'm struggling a little bit there, okay? So we'll see what happens and see if they're going to allow a mid-cycle redistricting in the state of Florida. Uh-oh. Sorry. Okay, what do elections look like? We talked a little bit about that. And then what happens next? In December, I sit my staff down and we talk about early vote sites, polling locations, staffing, voting equipment, and budgets. And that's when we prepare for the next 24 months so that we know what's going to come down financially for us. Because like the voting equipment, I've been saving for that voting equipment. And the county commissioners are very kind to me. I put my budget in. Anything left over, they put in a reserve fund for anything that might happen, because we either have 1, 2, or 3 elections in every budget cycle. And so my budget does this. And I want to tell you that they have been all kind as to support my budgets that I put forward. The most asked question in 2024, why can't I provide a receipt when a voter casts their ballot? Which is such a great question. They want to be able to get a receipt to say that's who they voted for. It's a great question that has such damaging results. Florida statutes 101.041 in secret voting talks about why you have to have a secret ballot in all elections held on any subject which may be submitted to a vote, and for all or any state, county, district, or municipal officers, the voting shall be by secret. Official ballot as provided by this code, and no vote shall be received or counted in any election except as prescribed by this code. The first state to implement a secret ballot was Massachusetts in 1988, setting a precedence that eventually spread to other states across the nation. Now, maybe you all might know more about why we have a secret ballot, but I would tell you, when I go to my high schools and stuff, they don't know that. And when I go to the general public, they don't know that. And I cannot tell you how many times I got this question in 2024. Okay, vote buying versus a secret ballot. The secret ballot is a voting method in which the voters identify in an election or referendum is anonymous. This forestalls attempts to influence the voter by intimidation, blackmailing, and potential vote buying. If you received a receipt of how we voted, this could influence vote buying. My favorite election poster that I have hanging in the inside of my cabinet door is, would billionaires spend millions to influence your vote if it had no value? Your vote has tremendous value. So when I talk about that, what I talk about is I could go and we'll pick on Vicki. Vicki's running for office, okay, and she wants me to vote for her, okay, and she's gonna, she's running for president of the League of Women Voters, and I go in and vote, and if I was given a receipt, I could come out and show her that I voted for her, okay? She could pay me for that vote, okay? All voting is secret. It has to be secret so that you cannot influence a race. You know, voters go out, candidates go out and they picket and say, hey, vote for me, vote for me. But do you really ever know how anybody votes? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We have this upcoming election, and we've received almost half of the vote by mail ballots back that we sent out. Well, of course, we're only sending out for Republicans because it's a Republican primary. And so I only send out around 8,000. So I have a little over, I think, 3,600 back. But you have to know, even those ballots are secret ballots. Even your vote by mail are secret ballots. I don't know how you voted. I don't know how anybody votes. I don't, we just don't know that information. Because once you put your ballot in the ballot box, it's like any other ballot in there. It's not identified to you. Once you walk away from that table with that ballot, the only thing we identify is who you are. Let me see your photo ID and your signature, and then we check you in, give you a ballot, and then then you go vote the ballot and drop it in the ballot box. My favorite question on my high schools, I've been in all the high schools this year, I'm in the high schools every year, required by law. It's a voter education program. And so we go in and we do a voter registration, we do a program, and then we do an election. I want them to see what they vote on. I want them to see the equipment. I want them to know what they're going to face when they walk into a polling place. So they want to know if they have the right to a secret ballot. Not everybody knows that you have a right to a secret ballot. And to me, that's one of the most important things, that you are exercising your right to vote how you want to vote. And that's really important to me. So we go over that a lot, and so they'll understand how that works. And then I think, didn't you put pamphlets, the informed voter pamphlet on everybody's seat? This is one of the things I go over with the high school students, and with anybody else that I can round into listening to me, is here we have a group of people, okay? And they said we didn't vote because they don't think they make a difference. This is a perfect example of a primary election in Florida. Florida, here's the whole voting group, and then on the left-hand side is the group of people who voted, and that group of people chose what the new laws are going to be. They chose your new officials. Remember, we vote a lot of people in primary elections, which we do now have the universal primary. So if the candidate is all of one race, then they get put on everybody's ballot, which I think is really fair, having a closed primary race. Look how many people we voted in the primary of 24. I was voted in a primary, both times. So I go through this list of things with the students about that every election is determined by the people who show up. Voting is a civic duty. Generations of Americans have fought and died for your right to vote. Voting lets your voice be heard. It allows you to support the change you want to see, or the change that you might not want. Your everyday life is affected, right, by the people who have voted in office. Look at, every time we get new people, elected officials in office, it changes our dynamics. Every vote matters. Some races are so close that it can come down to a single vote. Our government was designed for voter participation, and your vote does make a difference. It's something I really pass on to the high schools, because I really think that these students really don't know this. Okay, so how do you know that the ballot you cast is the vote I counted? Right? I mean, maybe you cast a ballot, but how do you know that? Well, what I'm really sorry about is we were going to hold this today at my office, and I've been having a lot of organizations come in. The DEC came in, the REC came in, the Chronicle came in. I have all the different schools come in at all times, and we do a whole presentation there. But then we do the walkthrough of the office, and you see the security. You see that we're mostly warehouse, and then you see our tabulation area. And I really wanted you folks to see that, but just because I'm so close to an election, we just couldn't pull it off. We didn't know if we'd have anything going on. So, but at any rain check, definitely. And so we can definitely do that. And if you want to pull a group together when it's not your meeting, you can do that as well too. But the Florida statutes requires that every election, that every county hand counts one precinct, one race, with all the different kind of ballots, like vote by mail, early voting, and election day. And they randomly pick that. Okay, and then they have to go pull all the ballots and then they match it up to what the results were. It's a long process. It's a tedious process. And some counties still do this, but over 32 plus counties in Florida now do 100% audit. Back in 2005, I had a gentleman come to us at conference and said, "Hey, Mo, why can't I have an audit that does 100% of the tabulation system, and why can't I have that and prove that your tabulation system is doing what it's supposed to be doing?" So ever since then, I work with this gentleman, and he was an entrepreneur all the way, but he needed help. He needed counties to step up after the election and after the archival value of the election, and he needed the ballots to prove his system and create his system. So every couple of years, they would come into my office. It was like 5 or 6 counties, Bay County, Leon County, Citrus County, and they would come in, and he'd bring his entire engineering team, engineering, software, hardware, all the gentlemen, and I would sit back in awe and watch these 10 or 12 gentlemen and women work together to create this audit system. So we went and year after year. Well, anyway, it got to be really good. It got to be so good that they actually went on to write a tabulation system, but they're not allowed to sell the tabulation system in Florida because we have the audit system. So they went to the state, and the state approved and certified the audit system. So I had many years experience with it, so I knew what we were up against. So now I count everything in the tabulation system, which is a standalone system, and I go behind me to the other system, and I count every ballot in the audit system. So the end result of that is that we count ovals, is how we do this. In the tabulation system, I counted over 5.5 million ovals for the general election. It is about 65, 70 ovals on a general election ballot. The difference was 50 ovals. Now, mind you, every one of those ballots had a human person touching that skid and marking that ballot, okay? To me, that is absolutely amazing numbers. The numbers are so good because, is there a little different algorithm, that's it, thank you, in the systems, okay? But I'm counting over here and counting over here. My first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure that I have an exact ballot count in every category. I have X amount of the ballot numbers that I told you for early voting, vote by mail, and election day. I have those exact numbers here, and I have them here. And then they're both done, and then you have the reports of both. They're amazing, okay? It's 99.99914%, okay? You're allowed by law a 0.5% difference. I would never accept that. I don't know any county that does, but by law, that's what it states. This is so minute and such a small difference that I know that the ballot you cast is the vote I counted. Mind you, I can't tell you what people put on ballots. I cannot, especially, you vote by mail ballots we have out, and they're home at somebody's home for several weeks before they mail them back. And then we have early voting ballots that people are hand marking, election day that people are running in to mark and dead. So those ballots can have all kinds of markings on them, okay? And I think it's just tremendous how they have moved this to moved it to where I can audit the entire system, and it makes me feel like we have done exactly what we're supposed to do. Any questions on the audit? Am I timed?
I don't want you.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want her to stop?
No.
Okay, I can stay. I have a 1:15 Zoom, that's it. Yes, ma'am.
You were talking about the ballots themselves and you receive them back.
Mhm.
What would cause one to be thrown out?
No ballot is ever thrown out.
Say it again?
No ballot is ever thrown out. All right, so.
Not counted. With a spray mark.
Okay, okay.
Outside the little.
Thank you.
line.
Okay, that's better. Okay. So if we get ballots that the tabulation system kicks out, they make a pile of them. And on the other side of the glass, because we have to be present, the canvassing board has to be present, those are sent to the canvassing board. And if the ballot has to be duplicated, the canvassing board will make a decision on that ballot, which is usually a very easy decision. You'll have, there's a clear, there's a rule written, the state, we have follow the Florida statutes, then we follow the state rules. And so there's a rule written just for that duplicating ballots and to have a clear indication of what the voter meant, okay? And I'll be honest with you, we participated on that as well by giving ballots and examples to the state as to what happens. They do. They might have, You might have somebody who's elderly, and they've marked next to the oval, and maybe they got in one oval, okay, but you can see what they clearly meant to be. The canvassing board will make a decision on that. And to me, the way they wrote that rule, it's very clear of what we have to do to that ballot. Do we duplicate a lot of ballots? We do in a general presidential year. We probably did over 600 this last election, but I'm telling you, what we did is gave that person the right that they wanted and chose what they had on their ballot. The only time, if they have a race and it says vote for one, and they have clearly filled in an oval for both, and it's very clear that it's two full ovals, we can count everything else on the ballot, but we can't do that one. Other things that happen, people check boxes, put check boxes in there. It's going to kick it out and I have to duplicate it. That oval needs to be completely filled in, and that's important to share with the folks. So those are some of the things that happen to that. Does it kick out a lot? It doesn't. Sometimes the timing marks around the ballot, maybe it's just kicking it out and we don't have a reason, but we're just going to duplicate that ballot so it's counted. So no ballot that comes through will either be duplicated or counted as is. Meaning, okay, they marked both those ovals. I'm not going to duplicate that ballot because that's exactly what they did. Okay, and so does that happen? It does. You know when that happens that more? Is you know where it says vote for one under your under the race heading, like president, vote for one. You know, we have like, I don't know, mosquito control board, something like that, or something like that, and I say vote for two or vote for three. That is when we come up with an issue, okay? They'll vote for more than, a lot of times less than, you know. Any more questions about that? Yes. Oh, go ahead, Vicki, I'm sorry.
I have a question. I was not playing with my phone here. I was taking notes. And I have a question
Mhm.
from Rosemary Nellis, who has the nerve to be up in Pennsylvania.
Nerve her.
She's a snowbird. She says.
She called me and told me you were going to ask questions.
I'm not sure. Her question is your office receiving adequate state funds to conduct a special primary election and special election of 2025, along with a huge election in 2026? The League of Women Voters continues to advocate for full funding for elections.
Great question. Great question. So on my regular elections, okay, our county pays for our elections on the scheduled elections. On a special election, because the special election is called by the state. So what we have to do is we have to propose a budget to our county commissioners, which I did, and to the state saying, hey, this is what it'll cost for this election. And so myself, and this election that we're doing right now is held in Citrus, all of Sumter, all of Hernando, and then part of Pasco. Okay, so we had to all submit budgets to the state. And the state will refund, is supposed to refund us that money, but the county has to put it up. So right now, I'm running 4 budgets. One that ends on September the 30th for both my office and for the special elections. And then I pick up 2 more, my office, and then the general election, special election budget. Yes, they are supposed to pay us for those elections. There's some things they don't pay for, like I voted stickers. You know, there's things like that that they don't pay for that I have in my budget. So they're supposed to pay us back. Yes.
Related, was there enough funding from the state to handle the changes for HB 1205, the citizen initiative changes?
There was no funding in the state. We have to eat that. That comes out of my budget. My budget was, you know, you're allowed by county. They'll give you a percentage. You can go up in your budget, and I think that's 3%. All of that was eaten with 1205. Yes, ma'am. I have one question back here.
Just one question.
Sure.
On the ballot, if someone marks, like you said, 2 choices,
Mm-hmm.
but the rest of their ballot is okay, can I understand you would go ahead and take those other, just want to make sure.
And here's a little trick, okay? All I have to do is be able to identify what they meant in that race, and I have to have the consensus and vote of my board. So if somebody says, okay, they marked the one, oh, they didn't mean to do that, and they put an X through it, and they mark the next one, I will reduplicate that ballot and give them the one that they chose. Okay, so, all right, yes next to one, no next to the other. Because I have elderly people who are filling out their ballot, and as long as I can communicate this well with them, and if they don't have time, they can't come out, they're going in the hospital, I will have them do that, because it's going, my system's going to kick it out. And all they have to do is identify what they wanted in that race. Yeah, and it's very easy. Once you start looking at ballots, and to me, all ballots look the same. It takes me usually a half hour after the election results are out for me to even sit back and look at the election results and who won, because it's just not, it's not what I do. I'm looking at numbers. Did my numbers match what, the people who voted today, and early voting and vote by mail? So I have one more. Yes, ma'am.
Sometimes the ballot initiatives are very confusing. You don't know whether you're voting something you want or something you don't want. So what's the best way for us to learn the gist of it?
Well, all initiatives are written on the 8th grade level.
I need to go back to school.
It's very hard. It's very hard to know. I go to my friend at church who's an attorney. I said, what does this mean? Because a lot of times I'm taken back by it. And I know people are, and then you'll have groups that say, oh, well, you should vote this way. And then you have groups that say you should vote this way. Well, what are you lining up with? I gotta line up my moral values and what I'm looking for in that area. I know it's the hardest thing. We do have, of course, the long language of the bill. We have them in constitutional amendment booklets at the office or online from the state, if that's any help to you. And then I don't want to point anybody to a group, because it might be a group that, one group's for it, one group's against it. And absolutely, it is hard. It is hard. Yes, ma'am.
Well, first I have a comment. The League of Women Voters is very good about putting out descriptions of the amendments. And if you want to vote, if you vote yes, this is what it means. If you vote no, this is what it means, right? Yeah. But my question is, how else do you find out about a deceased voter other than the family members contacting?
We have the deceased voter list from the state of Florida. We get lists from our clerk's office for, I think those are felon, mentally disabled. But we have a lot of ways, okay? We have part-time staff that come in during elections, especially anytime election season. When they don't have anything to do, I have them go investigate. I start on the voter file, and we're working through the voter file, and they had to go investigate and look up and see if they can find any deceased record, like, I don't know, funeral home notices, anything. And if I can find enough stuff that matches, we have access to David and Save, okay? Those are two systems that law enforcement use. I believe it's law enforcement are the top entities there, and we have certain access, and we can go in there. So if they give us enough information, we can match enough information, we'll send them an eligibility notice. And a lot of times we'll find out, okay, this is the right person, but we have to have some identifiers there, and they'll usually the birth date's in the paper, okay? So that gives me a kicker, okay? And they lived on this street, and this says, well, they were from Inverness, Florida, So we can do a lot of matching there. It takes footwork. And I don't always have the staff to do that, but I always use my part-time staff for that. Okay, let's just see how much time we have.
Whatever you like, right?
Okay, we'll go through this slide. You have to tell me, because I can be here. I'm good. All right, so what
There used to be a clock back there, but there is, it's 11:02.
I know, but what time do you want me to speak till? That's what I need to know. Okay, so we'll go through a couple more of these. So what's on our agenda? Our new website, okay? After the 2024 elections, our vendor, who had most of the counties in the state of Florida, said, we're not doing election websites anymore. So we all had to go out and find a new website. We didn't get, of course, there's no money. We didn't have in the budget. So we are diligently working on our website now. And because of the special election, we're supposed to have 3 days of training. We'll have 2 hours here, 2 here, 2 there. I got 2 more this afternoon. And by the 23rd, I think, October, we're rolling out the new website. Most of our things that I click on, like for vote by mail and address changes, those come from our voter registration vendor and they're just links. So it's not a problem, so, but we've had to stop and it just took staff time to get here. And then I'm waiting on a installation of a fire suppression system in my building. We've been through this, last year. We had a proposal for the fire suppression system. I have 5 rooms that I need that in so that if their fire starts, what happens is the oxygen sucks out of the room and it stops the fire, rather than ruining what's in the room. So like in your tabulation and, where I keep vote by mail ballots, those kind of things, okay? And so we had to go out for another bid. And so right now I'm waiting on the county to finish some other fire issues in the whole Meadowcrest building. And when that's done, hopefully we'll be going to the fire suppression system. Voting booths, we talked about that. I have half in and half have been accepted. You have to know me to know why I would do this, but I sent half back and I'm waiting for them on the 15th. Update the voting equipment, we talked about that. We updated all that. We're right in the middle of staff hiring as well. We implemented, and we're implementing an inventory management system. So those are the things we're doing on the side. Plus we're doing mapping in GIS because we do have a feeling that it's going to come back down, that we're going to have to do a redistricting mid-year before the 26 elections. Well, of course, we talked about this. I created budgets for 2 elections, and then I created 2 extra for the special elections. And so the young lady at my office who handles that has her hands full budgeted, managing the 4 elections. We do online training and support our poll workers. We're writing manuals, processes, procedures. We moved all that up so that we could get it out for the 25 elections. We're holding October 1, we can start processing them 2,400 petitions. We're still waiting for some software and waiting from more guidance from the Division of Elections. I have a meeting at, that's what my 1:15 Zoom is about, the initial petitions. We have voter education and registration in the schools, and of course, our outreach events. Yes, ma'am. Did you have a question? Okay, sorry. The legislative bills, of course, we had on the 1st of April was the Florida Supervisor of Elections to go to Tallahassee. Tallahassee is not someplace that I can hang out. It just is not. The initiative bill, petition bill, it concerns the cost and the process. We're currently waiting on the budget to pass, which we already did that. We're already here. And so, of course, I can't talk much about initiative petitions because we're in the middle of a lawsuit as well. We talked about some of the responsibilities earlier of the Supervisor of Elections. And, we have voter registration, outreach, voter education. We maintain the voter rolls. We conduct list maintenance daily. We qualify our local candidates. We mail and process all the vote by mail ballots. We hire and train over 400 poll workers and part-time workers. I have to do training for my staff and myself as well. And we prepare early voting locations for precincts. We conduct all the city, county, and state elections. We create and submit budgets. We secure, test, and program all voting equipment and electronic poll books. We tabulate the vote. We complete 100% of an audit on all voting system and all elections that we have. Cybersecurity training, I have to do that with my staff every 6 months. Reviewing and implementing new election laws and regularly. Our cybersecurity training, we have a module that we do all kinds of training, and most of it once a year. The cybersecurity could be once a year, but we have a whole list of training that, especially just on how emails are the number one things that could add issues to your office. So I just recently came to a new rule that no part-time worker has emails in their office. It's tough, but they don't understand. They think the emails are from me. My staff knows they're not from me, but part-time people might not know that. And that's about 99% of the way that bad actors get into your system. And so, we have done layer after layer after layer. And, I will never say, oh, I am 100% protected, because nobody's ever 100% protected. And so we just want to be wise in what we do. And we want to continue to handle a layer of protection for our system. All our staff members and canvassing board members are required to take signature verification. And we do that before every election because we're matching vote by mail ballot signatures. And then, of course, we have candidate initiative petitions, and the staff verifies the candidate initiative petitions, and the local candidates complete their qualifying paperwork with us at the elections office. We talk a little bit about poll workers. We're always looking for poll workers. Please know, if you would like to work a 12 to 14-hour day, please come see me. If it's your desire to be overworked and underpaid, please come see me. They're so dedicated. My poll workers are so dedicated. I just love them all. They work so hard, and they're out there to protect us so that they know the job is done. And so I'm truly grateful for each one of them. We will be putting it out after this election, doing some more orientations for 2026 elections. So if you know anybody. Okay, our outreach, you know that's going on weekly. We go to all kinds of events. I have one Saturday at the depot. And you know what? You'll be surprised at the voters that we run into that need help. And I'm really trying to get out this election because I have to get out this primary, and the voters have to know that there's going to be a general election so that they know that everybody can vote in this general election. Okay, these are some of the places we were. We've been to the Strawberry Festival. We've been to Citrus High School. We've had all the ones with our training room in it. Those are all different entities that have come into my office. I am now opening my office to all the entities coming in so that we can do a presentation there and you can actually see what we do. So if you ever feel like your group wants to do that, you are more than welcome.
Field trip.
My son sent me this, and I said, that's not true. He said, yeah, it is. These are the states, okay, that have photo ID. I didn't realize there was so many states that did not require ID to vote. I didn't realize that. And he pointed that out to me, so I did some research on it before I put this in here, and sure enough, the states. Now, I think on the other end, they have to produce stuff to register, like we do too. But I was looking into that more. I need more information on that. But the gray states out there, the gray states do not have to have ID to vote. Okay, the election ready. Get out to vote in Citrus with the primary election. Just a few things about the primary election, okay? Tuesday, September 30th, Florida's a closed primary. Only registered Republicans can vote. You had to change your party by September 2nd. Now, here's what's important to you. The November general election, December 9th, this will be the winner from the primary, and the Democrat will go up against each other, but everybody can vote. Democrat, Republican, nonpartisan, whatever party they are. Every registered voter is going to be eligible. Last day to register for the general election is November 10th, so you have your job set out there. Okay, you can call now to request a ballot. We will only, for this election, the special elections, I only have 4 early voting sites open. Okay, it's going to be a low turnout. It just is. That's just how this special elections work, and you just have to have history behind that to know. So I did not open 2 sites in Beverly Hills. I only have the Beverly Hills Library. The community center is not going to be open for these 2 elections. They will be in 26, but not now. And just so you know that. The deadline for this election is Thursday, September the 18th for a vote by mail. Early votes for this election are going to be September 20th through the 27th. Election day is the 30th. Of course, we have 3 ways to vote by mail early election day. You vote by mail request. We have a little pamphlet in the back that you can just go take a look at. And sorry about that. My alarms are going off at the elections office. So can't say I'm not informed. I'm expecting a delivery. That's why it went off. Your election day checklist, please help people know what their polling location is. They're waiting for election day. Have their photo and signature ID ready. Candidate information can be found on our website, as well as printable sample ballots. Okay, tomorrow the sample ballots will go out for this election, for the September 30th elections. Please mark your sample ballot, bring it with you any election that you go to. 4 voting locations for this September election, which is the Supervisor of Elections Office, Crystal River. We have the Homosassa Public Library. We have the Inverness City Hall, and then the Central Ridge Library in Beverly Hills. And this is 2026. The election is on August 18th, 2026. And the book closing for that is July 20th. So you want last day to register. General elections on November 3rd. Last day to register would be October the 5th. And then there's all 5 sites that will happen in 2026. Okay, any questions? Oh, yes.
My question is about the mid-cycle redistricting. Is that gerrymandering because it's not coinciding with a census? Or you can't say? If you can't say, it's okay.
I can say anything I want to say. That's not the problem. I don't know what you want to call it. It's outside our cycle. We're not budgeted for it. You know.
Thank you.
But if they require us to do it, we have to do it. So, like any law that we have to put into effect, any law that they pass in Florida, we're required to put into. Yes, ma'am.
I think some confusion, as I'm a poll worker, is that when people have a vote by mail, and they come in, they decide they want to vote in person, what do they do with the vote by mail? There's a lot of confusion about
Okay.
whether they're allowed to bring it in, whatever.
They can do a lot of things with it. They can tear it up and leave it at home. They're going to be asked if they have it. If not, they'll proceed. If it's given to the, if they come in and give it in, they're going to be asked to tear it in half, put it in an envelope, one of our cancel ballot envelopes, and we'll take it back to the office, but it has to be torn. It has to be torn by the voter, because I don't let election workers hold those. And so they can do either one of those things.
So the question was,
Okay.
is that if they want a list of what they voted on there, and they can't take their, into the booth,
I'm not doing that I would have done that one time in the past, but I'm not doing that anymore because they have 2 ballots in their hand and it's not fair.
Right.
Because they could walk right up to the ballot box. So they just need to revote the ballot. Yeah. You chose the 2 ballots, It's expensive. Let me tell you what is expensive too. If you're ordering a vote by mail ballot and you're not using it and then you're going to vote someplace else, that's costing taxpayers money. Yeah. Do I mind? People have to do that sometimes. I just voted. I just voted by mail myself. But it does cost taxpayers money for that to happen. Yes, ma'am.
I just had a question about signatures. If signatures don't match, is there a procedure that you go through for that?
Yes, ma'am. There's a procedure. The first thing, all right, so the signature that didn't match, we got a vote by mail ballot back. The signature doesn't match. We have to immediately contact the voter, and that's why when we take vote by mail ballots, we're looking for your email address, phone number, anything that you'll give us, okay? And we immediately contact them and give them the form. They have an affidavit to fill out for a signature update. And then there's, depending on if you're tier 1, 2, or 3, there's forms that you have to submit with that, your copy of your driver's license, and things like that you have to submit. And then we will accept that as your new signature. But yes, yeah, there's forms for everything we do, there's forms. Back to the young lady here with a question about about the if they hand in ballots. Thank you for being an election worker. I have a few here in the room, and she likes 14-hour days. Yay! Thank you for that. Do we have any more questions? Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain what happens when you get a new driver's license or you renew your driver's license and the state of Florida changes your number?
Yay, that's been a lot of fun for us. You can go online, fill out an application, and put your new driver's license number and submit it to us. Yeah, that's the best thing to do.
That's the easiest way.
That's it, yes. Yeah, I will not take information from anybody anymore if it's not on a voter registration application. Because then I know I have the most updated signature, I have the information that they chose to do. So, yeah.
And after you fill that form out, you take it to your office?
Mm-hmm. You can mail it. You can do it online too. Online, I think you can do it on. Yeah, you can do it online as well. Yes.
So follow-up, because they always ask you if you need to do an application.
At the driver's license.
Right.
Right.
So, like, I
just went through it, I got a new number.
Okay.
Should I have been informed to go ahead and fill out a new application since I was getting the new number?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Let me write that down. I need a pen. Anybody have a pen? I'm gonna ask Megan to pass that along to the driver's license to fill out. Would you grab that for me, Vicki? To ask them to tell them to get a new form if they want to change their DL with the tag office. Okay, I'll pass that information on.
I've been registered for years. I've voted in every election since I'm 18.
Right.
Why would I need
That's
to?
not gonna stop you from voting,
Right.
but it's not gonna match up if you want like a vote by mail. What would you call it? Yeah. Well, I did. Okay, yes, ma'am.
So I've been a poll watcher before,
Mm-hmm.
and one thing that I've seen is they have sample ballots on the outside that they can take. Can they then take their ballot? In other words, if they brought their mail-in with them and they want to use it as a model, and of course they can't, can they then leave the polling place and go out and fill it in on the sample ones that are provided?
As long as they haven't checked in.
Okay.
Okay.
They haven't checked.
Yeah. I am not supporting any of that personally, because if you didn't want to vote the ballot, then give it back to us. Let us tear it and go vote your ballot. Okay, I'm not supporting a lot of that because it's just too difficult for the poll workers. And they've come in, which ones can have a ballot, which ones can't, which ones, So what I say is you turn that ballot in and I'll give you a new one with it. I get that. I understand what you're
Take a
saying.
picture of it? Use that? Sure.
They're allowed to.
Yeah.
They're allowed to, yes.
And my other question is,
Mhm.
how quickly what is your capacity to get a special election together quick, say a municipal one or county? If all of a sudden they had a vacancy unexpected.
At least 3 months. You have to calculate back. I have to look at the election schedule that they gave us. When they gave us this election schedule for this one, it was very short, Gail. It was so short. I think I had 14 or 17 days to get my vote by mail ballots in the mail. I had no ballot, I had no anything, and everything has to be done. So I say 3 months, but here's the thing. I have to have time to do everything. I already knew about this election, so I was prepping every area in my office so that when they pulled that plug, because we knew they were gonna pull it, okay? When they pulled that plug, man, I mean, we went into action, okay? And so I had everything prepped for that. If it's election we don't know about, I ask up to 6 months, especially for a countywide election. Any other questions?
Experience matters.
Thank you all today. Thank you for putting up with my long speaking and if there's anything I can do for you, please let me know. Thank you for having me. Vicki, I'll be back next year. If you have me.
This is for you. Should we have her next year? Now, I will be in touch with you after the election in December so that we can set up a trip to come and visit your facility.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. You always give me something.